Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. There are actually two goals for you when you file your VA compensation claim. Two goals, right? Most people think of one. What is the one goal that most people talk about? That's getting service connected, right? You want to make sure that you get your condition service connected. And that becomes the hyper focus and the one thing that everybody works on. I will tell you that there's really two main goals through that process, and really potentially three. So I'm going to give you two other things, because now I said potentially three. So I will give you two other things that you need to focus on as you are completing your claim for VA compensation beyond the fact of getting it service connected. All right, so with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Do two things for me. One, hit that thumbs up, and two, let the video run, because it absolutely helps to get the word out. The more of us that have this information and get service connected with the VA and meet these goals, the more of us together create a stronger group of veterans when it comes to any VA benefits, right? The more of us makes us stronger. And the more of us that watch the video, let it play, and hit the thumbs up, that's the whole idea of many hands make light work. So anyway, let's jump into it here. I really appreciate you. If you want to support the channel in other ways, please consider joining. That does help the channel, and it helps me to find you quicker in the comments. All right, so jumping into it. The number one thing, right, is getting service connected. And I'll just touch on that real fast. Making sure that you get service connected. I will tell you that I see people get rejected from the VA, and I have seen it happen time and time again. And the most common reasons are, one, they don't provide a nexus, or they don't even get diagnosed. They just submit information to the VA saying that essentially I've self-diagnosed myself, if that makes sense, for this condition, and I think I need to be rated for it, period. And that's it. Not enough information for the VA to rule in your favor for a service connection, and you will get denied. So what do you need? This is what you need. Number one, you need to provide your proof of service, right? So we'll just use your DD-214s for an example. This gives you a window of opportunity, entry date, exit date. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you excludes presumptive condition filing. That's that eliminates some of this and makes it easier. So I'm going to the non-presumptive conditions kind of road here. So number one is your DD-214 gives you your time of service, or your DD-214s gives us your time of service, which creates that window of opportunity. Number two, you need to have a diagnosed condition that is chronic in nature or has residual effects. That's important. It can't be something that gives you zero problem. You've never had any, that doesn't exist. It went away, right? So you need to have something that has some sort of an ongoing problem. I had a cold once and it went away. Doesn't count. I had, crabs, we'll just say, and those went away, and now I don't have them, right? That doesn't count. You must have an actual ongoing problem. That's what you need. Number three is a nexus. You must have a link between your condition and your time in service. Okay? This is really important, and this is messed up a lot. Now, a couple different things. Sometimes we, as veterans, tend to think that the nexus means I must prove to the VA that my condition was caused by my time in service. That's not the case. Of course, it includes that, right? If it was caused by service, it was caused by service, but that's not what the VA is looking for. The definition here that I like to give is you need to prove that your condition manifested during your time in service, or is a result of your time in service, or was caused by your time in service, right? It's really of all of that. The manifested part is the one that I like the most, right? So that is simply like, look, I joined, I had zero issues, then suddenly I have X. Doesn't matter how, right? It manifested. Humvee fell on me, shattered my leg. It manifested during my time in service. I never had gastroesophageal reflux disease before, and now I do, right? It manifested during my time in service. Okay, so that's the nexus, right? So you need to prove that your condition manifested or was caused by or as a result of your time in service, that window of opportunity. What's the best way to create that nexus? The best way is that you got diagnosed during your time in service, right? Or it was annotated that you shattered your leg or whatever it is, right? It happened during your time in service. That's the best way. It's not the most common, right? We mostly wait and then we get diagnosed years later. And then you have to build the bridge back to your time in service, right? So I used to just take hands full of Motrin for my migraine, or I used to just take a bunch of antacid. I never got diagnosed. I just got it from the medic or the corpsman and I moved on. You would then get your Nexus Letter from your doctor, where the doctor basically states that your condition is at least likely as not due to or caused by or as a result of or manifested during your time in service. And then you could back that up with buddy statements, people that you maybe have served with that could attest to knowing that you suffered from X. Maybe a letter from a spouse, all of those things, right? So you're building that bridge back to your time in service, including a letter from yourself. Okay, so now that's giving you your service connection, right? So that's the number one goal. Number two goal is making sure that you get the appropriate rating. And then I'll go to the number three goal. So making sure that you get the appropriate rating from the VA. This is very important, right? It's not as important as getting service connected. That's the most important thing. But it is a very close number two. And because look, you could get service connected at 0%, great. Or you can make sure that you are getting the appropriate rating. And let's use, anything. Well, I like to use GERD and I like to use migraines as the examples. So those types of things rely on you as the patient to have a conversation about how bad your condition is. You are the patient, right? But what do you talk about? What is the VA really looking for? Well, I'll tell you what you do is you pull up the VA's rating schedule for your specific condition. Now, I'll admit that it's a bit difficult and cumbersome to get through it on the VA's website unless you have, unless you're used to doing it, then it's easy, right? So you can also just type in your condition, so migraines or GERD, VA rating schedule in Google, search it, a bunch of lawyer firms will pop up, and they will also have that on their website because they pull that over as a resource for you as well. So you can read through it on their website and read what criteria is for each rating. So for instance, GERD would have a 60, 30, 10 rating, and it'll say for 60%, here's your criteria. This is your signs and symptoms. And here it is for a 30, and here it is for 10. For your migraines, it's going to be 50, 30, 10. And same thing. Here's the criteria for 50, here it is for 30, here it is for 10. You are the patient. You know you better than anybody. Read it, and if you meet all the criteria for any of those ratings, right? Let's say that it's the 60% for GERD, and it's 30% for migraines. Great. Now you know what you should be rated. How can you ensure that you get the appropriate rating? Well, you need to make sure you take that information, the criteria for that rating, and have that conversation with your doctor. Tell them that you need that in your medical records, verbatim. Then, it might not hurt to have your doctor go ahead and put together a DBQ for you. The DBQs are on the VA's website. DBQ is Disability Questionnaire. Have them complete the DBQ for your specific condition, incorporating in the information from the VA rating schedule for your rating. Then, when you go to your CNP exam, make sure that you take that information with you so you can read it while you're there. This is not a closed book test. You can take your information with you and read it to the CNP examiner and even hand it to them as you leave, right? And you can tell them, like if you're uncomfortable with that, you can say, hey, look, this is really important to me and I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then you can, reference your notes. Very important. Those things will help ensure that you get the appropriate rating. And if they rate you low, it gives you the opportunity to then appeal it very easily because you've provided them everything they've needed. Now, the third thing The third goal, I would say, would be, while you're at it, you might as well make sure that any of your conditions that have been long-lasting, right? Any conditions that you've had for a while that haven't gotten any better, right? I've had this condition, I've had migraines for 8 years. I've had GERD for 8 years, right? It has never gotten better. Or maybe it's 18 years, or maybe it's 28 years, or 38 years, whatever the number is, right? I've had it all these years. But I just got diagnosed now because I'm filing a condition, right? I'm filing for VA compensation. While you're at it, you might as well have your doctor really annotate that in one, a letter that you could submit, and two, if it's a Nexus letter, have them added in the Nexus letter. Tell them that you need this, and have them add it in your medical records with them. Okay, static. Your condition is static. It is not deemed to get any better. In fact, it's probably just going to get worse, right? Whatever fancy words the doctor wants to say, but the bottom line is that you need your condition, if it is so, to be, I guess, labeled as such, static. If your condition is static in the VA's eyes, the VA would then not issue a future exam for your condition, which is a protection. It's a way to protect you and your rating. Okay, nobody wants future exams. It's not fun to go, hey, we're going to award you this percentage, but guess what? We're going to check back in with you in 3 years and see if we can reduce you, right? So it's much better to have a static condition, not to mention static conditions or conditions that are not deemed to get any better those are what are needed in order to receive a 100% permanent and total rating. The permanent and total, the permanent piece refers to your conditions are static. At least enough of your conditions that take you to the 100%, because you could have more conditions than reaching that number. But the bottom line is that you must have at least enough conditions that are rated that take you to 100% rating that are all static, not deemed to get better, no future exams, and then you can get rated at the 100% permanent and total. So with that, that's my 3 goals when you're filing a claim. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.